Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Wendy with No Surface Level Podcast, where we talk about all things Jesus, business, and we just keep everything raw, and we don't want to keep nothing surface level. Here today, we have a special guest, man. My brother from college, known this man for years, and he is a wonderful family man, a wonderful man of God, and I had to bring him on to the podcast, y'all. I want to welcome my boy Ralph. What's going on, man?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you, bro. It's a blessing, man. And there's no other person I could talk about fatherhood and transition better than I could talk to my boy Ralph, man. Because I've seen you do it, man. From when I first met you, man, you've been a jack of all trades. But one thing I've always loved about you is how you carry yourself as a family man, and also how you carry yourself as a man of God too. Now you're making this new transition
Yeah.
from working in the corporate world for all these years, and now you have a message for the people. Now you're
Yeah.
becoming a motivational speaker, man.
Yes, sir.
So it's just tell about who you is, man. Who is Ralph, man?
Yeah. So, really, Ralph is a humble servant. I am a professional speaker, and I've been speaking for a very, very long time. But last year, I decided that I'm no longer gonna go towards my passions. I'm gonna start going towards my purpose.
Damn.
And I think, to me, it's a question that I've been trying to answer for a very, very long time. What's the difference between my passion and what's the difference between purpose? So the way I answered it for myself is I simply asked, what are the things that if you knew that if you did this thing, that you could never fail? And I just give people some time to answer that. And usually they'll tell me a couple of things. Then I would say, well, then that's your passion. But then I would ask them another question. The follow-up would be, what is the one thing you would do if you knew that as a result of doing it, nobody else would fail? And usually they start saying some things and I say, well, that's your purpose. Because for me, passion is the things that we like to do, but purpose is the thing that we're created to do. And our purpose is always tied to serving others.
Man.
So when I left the credit union, man, it was about how can I make sure I'm in alignment with what God has created me to do, and how can I serve other people as well. So it wasn't a tough decision. It was tough. It was tough in the sense of I had been there for so long. I met a lot of great people, but it was easy to walk away because I knew what I was walking towards.
And that's deep that you say that. Like, know the difference between your purpose
Yeah.
and the passion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they started off all these businesses based off passion.
Right.
And then when their business don't go as well as they planned it, they start creating some sort of resentment towards life, towards even God, because they say, man, but I have a passion for hair. I don't know why they make, well, because that wasn't a purpose.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to start with your passions. Like what you like there's nothing wrong with that. But the more powerful thing is sometimes your passion and your purpose are the same. Then I would say then you're passionate about your purpose, right? But I always try to choose my purpose over passion, because for me, purpose is sustained by God. My passion a lot of times is sustained by me. You feel what I'm saying?
Feelings and emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not wrong to have passions, but for me, I had to go to a point where I need to walk in purpose. Yeah.
That's dope. So tell me how did you feel during that transition, like making that from that to like motivational speaker?
So,
and you're a great speaker, by the way.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. It was scary at first because I was born and raised in Haiti, and being Haitian, you already know where the three careers that we're taught about is you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're an engineer. So, and that's ingrained in us. To get to the point to say, I'm a motivational speaker is not something that I had ever really seen before. So because I didn't see it, it was hard to aspire to be it. Now, years later, I've always, throughout the years, I've always felt like that God has placed a gift inside of me. Communication is a little bit easier for me at times. Connecting with people, sharing ideas. Sometimes it feels like it comes natural. You still got to work towards it, but it feels like it comes more natural. So I just knew that at some point I would have to fall in line with what He designed and what He created for me to do. Doesn't mean it's easy, because I'm leaving a place that I had worked at for 7 years, a place where I was known, a place where I had made great connections, a place where people knew who I was and I was making impact. And now I'm walking away and I'm going into something brand new, and I don't know what that looks like. The biggest thing for me at that time too is I'm making good money at my position. I'm leaving and nothing is guaranteed. and I'm not gonna be the provider that I'm used to being. And so in the beginning, bro, that really messed with my head.
And it take a toll on your faith too.
Absolutely, because now it's like, okay, it's not that we don't think God will, it's that maybe we've never put ourselves in a position where God has to. And so we don't know what that's going to look like. Because we're like, I know he can. Yeah, he's done it for others. But will I allow myself to be in a vulnerable state where only God can provide? So that's scary.
Yeah.
And, you know, my wife and I, we had talked about it. We prayed through it. We planned it, and we definitely, you know, left a lot of things for God to guide us through it. And he did. And it was one of the best decisions in my life, man. Right. But I'll tell you, it was scary because, again, the unknown. I don't know if anybody's going to book me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm as good as I think I am. I don't know if I can solve the problems that I think I can solve. Yeah. So all these unknowns were telling me, are you sure right now is the time to step out and do this?
Those voices in your head.
Yeah.
You sure you're doing this
right?
And then especially having a family, you know, having kids.
Yeah.
You're like, yo.
2 kids. At the time,
bruh.
At the time I had a 7-month-old.
Ooh.
And I told my wife I'm leaving my job.
Man.
And she said, I got you. Man. I support you.
How does that feel to have such a great support from your wife? Right?
It's unbelievable. Because, you know, I can believe in me, and then sometimes I'll have doubts. But when you have someone who looks at you, has seen your talent, has seen your wins, your losses, and they say, I got you, I believe in you. It on the days where you feel like you can't do it for yourself, you almost feel like you owe it to them. You know, so having that support, man, has really helped me through those tough days for sure.
Dang.
For sure.
And you guys been married for how long now?
We've been married for 8 years, my brother. Yeah.
What?
8 beautiful years. 8 beautiful years.
2 beautiful kids.
Thank you, man.
Man, tell me about that, having that family.
Having that family means the world to me, man. Yeah. It really does. I have my little boy who's 4 and my little girl who's 18 months, man, and they're different.
Outbound, bro.
Yeah, he's
seen some videos, man.
Yeah, he's got an arm.
Man.
I'll say he get it from his dad, but you know.
I remember we played on before. You.
I'm nice with it now.
Hey, hands down.
Hey, hands down. I'm gonna put the ball where it needs to go. See?
I give it to you.
Oh,
you was able to catch the ball.
For sure, man. For sure.
So it's like, because, you know, watching me, as I watch you, you know, going through this transition, and you have such a very supportive family, and then you're keeping your faith so strong.
Yeah.
Like, how do you, because, man, even through all that's going on, the world is still the world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What you're doing, honestly, the world isn't doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so how are you able to block those things? Because, again, especially, you know, you being married now, it seems as if the world is against marriage. You know? Divorce rate is so through the roof.
Yeah.
It seems like now they're idolizing single parenthood. They're idolizing, you know, hey, you know, the father's not being in the home, or the mother she has to be Miss Independent, have to do all that stuff. And, you know, these things can take a toll on us, especially, you know, coming from a position where you used to be, you're the breadwinner.
Yes.
And then now you have to, like, tell us now you're leaving a job, and your wife tells you, I got you.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of those distractions of what the world will put in front of you? Like, has that ever happened? And if it has, how were you able to block it?
Yeah. So it definitely happened because, you know, like I was telling you, I saw provider in a very basic way. Like I'm a financial provider. I contribute in that sense. So when I removed myself from my job and I wasn't bringing any income, I felt like there was a deficiency. And so I remember having a conversation with this young lady, and my wife would tell me that. My wife would be like, babe, we're good. Like we planned this, we got everything taken care of, we're good. But the fact that I wasn't bringing income, that messed with me. And I remember having a conversation with a young lady one time and just expressing that to her. And she said, you got to start seeing provision in a more broad sense.
Man, explain me. That's like, yeah. Because, you know, us being raised in a culture.
Yeah.
It's our job. We have to do this. Like, it's bruh, if you're not working, you're a bum.
Right.
So like change the provision, man.
Yeah. So what she was telling me is you're not just a provider in terms of financial. Like right now, the fact that you're not working, you're not bringing in, well, you're not bringing in the income. You're at home more. You can provide more security. You can provide more affection. You can provide more attention to the children. You can provide so many. And for me, it's not that I didn't value those things, but maybe I probably put the financial provision above all those things. But now that the financial provision was removed, I was able to see all of the other things that I could do to still be a provider. The things that my wife needed, not the things I just felt like, oh, this is important. No, she wanted those things. And I was able to provide those things and then be able to give them the value that they deserve. So now when the financial provision comes back, now all of those things are important. And that took someone else to share that perspective with me. And it took another woman to share that with me, so I could see myself as not just the financial provider, but like, oh, you really believe that provision is so much more than that?
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, you just changed my
Yeah.
perception of what provision is, because again, the world aspect, men are providers whether we like it or not.
Right. And we are.
Yeah. And
But
we
we're
still-
so much more than financial providers. Like now I see myself as, man, I can provide peace in my home. You know what I'm saying? Like I can provide, like there's so many other things I can provide on top of the income. There's so many things I can provide.
Yeah, and man, and again, by just following and watching, man, you're doing an incredible job.
Thank you, man.
Man, but one of the things, man, I love to talk about, man, and this is something we both have in common, is our fathers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fathers, man. See, the only difference is I have two boys.
Yeah.
And you have a boy and a girl. See, I told myself, if God didn't give me a girl for my first child, I don't want a girl.
Yeah.
But God blessed me with two beautiful boys, and He blessed you with a girl and a boy. Tell me about that, man. How's fatherhood treating you?
Man, fatherhood is humbling.
Man.
Fatherhood is humbling. I remember when my little boy was born. So this is in 2019. I remember, first of all, I'll say this. What they didn't tell me is when my little boy came out, I'm not light skinned, but that boy was super light.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? I didn't doubt nobody, but I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And what they didn't tell me is you're supposed to look at their ears.
Man, let me tell you something. It's a funny story. The day my first son was born, I still have this video to this day. I actually walk up to the nurse who was taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
And I asked her, so when is he supposed to change color?
Right. Yeah, because this ain't us.
Yeah.
This ain't.
Definitely me, boy. I'm darker than
Yeah.
chocolate. So.
But it was one of the best feelings in the world, man. Like just for me, just watching the whole process of childbirth, watching another human, it was beautiful. And I remember when I met my little boy, you think about all the things that you want to do, all the things that you want them to become, all the things that you want them to experience.
Yeah.
And then you realize, just be in that moment. This kid is not yet 4. Yeah. They're a day old. Yeah. Just be in that moment. And I would say, as far as early stages of my son, I would tell my wife this all the time. I said, I think my little boy was trying to remove every selfish bone in my body. Because here's this little being who cannot do for themselves, and they're depending on you for everything. So when he wakes up at 2:00 in the morning, like I'm the one. I'll tell my wife all the time, like I'm not the guy who's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna wake up with you. You take it. I'm gonna wake up and provide whatever it is that I can provide, because that's another form of provision, right? I may not be able to do some of the things that she can do, yeah, but maybe I can rub her back, or maybe I can just do something while she's feeding this baby, right? So I remember baby boy would wake up at 2:00, and I'm like, yo, this ain't normal. I don't wake up at 2:00. What are we doing? And then he's gonna wake up again at 4 or 5 o'clock. Sure. I don't do this. But it's like, you don't, but he does. And he didn't ask you to be here. So you can choose in that moment to satisfy yourself or be the bigger person and do what's best for the family. Yeah. So I think early on stages of parenthood, it tested me, man. It definitely, and then the other way, as he got a little bit older, the way, and I'm just being raw with you, bro. The way that it tested me is, how do I discipline a little child? What do I do? I had this internal struggle of my culture versus instincts. Culturally, whenever and I'm talking at the time, Cameron, he's like 2 years old.
Yeah.
Every time he did something, immediately the first thing that popped into my head was, I need to whoop him.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Immediately. And I was like, man, why? He's 2. Why is that such a ingrained thing in me?
Yeah.
Why do I not have any other options? So I had to get to the point where I had to retrain myself to start thinking like, yo, what else could be done to not have to spank a 2-year-old? Because he doesn't if I were to spank him, he doesn't understand why.
Probably go right, do it again.
Do it again, but it's like, what's the point? But that culture, I grew up bro, I've been getting whooping since I couldn't even tell you. That's what was done to me.
My last whooping was at 19 years old.
My last one, I think, was at 13. Yeah.
19.
My mom whooped me, and then I was so angry, I came out, I punched the wall, and they never whooped me again. They probably thought he crazy. He crazy. We gonna stop right here. So I had to learn, like, man, there's other ways of disciplines. Like this lady taught me one time. She goes, when you discipline him, get to his level. So I've had to learn to, like, okay, I'm gonna get on one knee, look him eye to eye, and say, Papa, why did you do that? Papa, what's going on? And she asked me to ask him, how does he feel? He's 2. In my head, I'm like, man, why I gotta do all that? I could just whoop him. But what are you getting out of that? So I had to learn, and it wasn't even just for him, it was for me too. He helped me learn how to control my emotions. So that's my boy. My girl, the second one, I thought that if we did everything we did with our first one, then the second one would turn out just the same. That's a whole different person. My son is the more calm, collective one, and my baby girl's that's our firecracker. She's full of energy. She marches to the rhythm of her own. Yes, sir. She creates her own rhythm. But she's so smart. She's so funny. Yeah. It's a pleasure watching her grow and develop. And I've been able to learn so much through her as well.
And it's crazy because when you bring back the cultural aspect, it's so difficult to transform that mind.
Yeah.
Because you have, like, for example, I have my 2 boys. Lord Jesus, sometimes I feel like flipping myself upside down.
All right.
You know,
all right.
And it's like the first instinct is anger.
Yeah.
It's the anger. You want to give him the intense whooping because that's how you're feeling at that moment.
Right.
And then you said that, how can we shift that?
Yeah.
Because from a cultural aspect, we was raised feeling like that was the correct way to do.
The only way.
The only way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But not knowing that what it initially did was cause trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember one time he was having a conversation where, and we're gonna touch on that. How do you think? Well, I'm actually, why do you think, especially growing up with our Haitian parents, that why did they feel like that was the correct way?
Yeah.
To discipline us?
Yeah.
And why do you feel like that's, in their mind, that was right for them?
Yeah.
Why did
Well, I mean, I think I'd say 2 things. I think 1, that's what they saw. And 2, I'd say it's the easiest and quickest way for them to discipline. Like, to think about all the energy it takes for my child to do something, and then I got to go into my emotional bank and say, I'm not going to react. I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to use emotional intelligence, right? So I think sometimes our parents, they didn't do all that work. It's just like, you did something, it's easy to just, bam, I whoop you, and then hopefully you miraculously change as a result of it. Yeah, so I think they saw it, and they mirrored what they saw, and then also they just didn't take the time.
But the trauma that comes with it.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of trauma that comes with it, man. It's a lot, because what it teaches us is the only way to deal with these things, especially with our children, is to whoop them, right? So I'm I'm not the parent that's going to tell you, hey, you can never, I don't tell you how to discipline your kids, but I think there's many different ways to discipline a kid, especially just thinking about who your kid is. Some kids won't respond well to that at all. Some kids, disappointing you is the biggest punishment, right? Some kids just having that conversation, learn your kid, man. Learn your kid and then learn yourself, because I had to learn like, yo, why? I had to rewire my mind. Why is this my go-to? And I had to tell myself, bro, there's other options. Now, when he does something, my first thought isn't to whoop him. It's not. But that's because I've trained myself to not think about that as my only option. I've introduced other options because there's many things that I can do to discipline my child.
Yeah, that's one thing I know a child does. They know how to point out your weakness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and not just point out your weakness.
Yeah.
They point out weaknesses that you didn't even know you had.
Right. For sure.
And those weaknesses causes you to go back.
Yeah.
To where it came from.
Right. Yeah.
And then it causes you to be in a place that normally you don't want to go to.
Yeah. So what's your response when they point out your weakness? Right? Because you're like, man, you 3.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
But could that be God's way of using a gentle voice to correct you?
Yeah.
Like my son the other day, I was talking to somebody and he goes, Dad, why are you talking so tough?
Wow, he said that to you.
Yeah. Why are you talking so tough? I said, Papa, you think that was tough? He goes, yeah. Why are you talking so tough? And I said, all right, I appreciate that. Because we've taught him the difference between kindness and toughness. So now that he has a little bit of awareness, he can identify, right? So my job when he comes in and he brings that to me, right? I can do several things with it. I can be like, boy, you won't talk to me like that. Or I can acknowledge the fact that I taught him to be aware of the difference and then make adjustments if I need to. You feel what I'm saying?
It's crazy. I have one thing that my son points out to me is that I get upset so quick.
Yeah.
So one time he does something and I'm like, I'm boiling. First thing he says, Daddy, relax.
Right.
Relax, Daddy, relax. I said, since when do
Right.
you know how to tell me to relax?
Right.
Instead of me having a reaction, I literally sat there and said, damn, why is he telling me to relax?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, why is he telling me to relax? No. Why is he telling me?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
What am I causing? How am I shifting his environment to make him have to say, Daddy, relax?
And what's the crazy part is, bro? So crazy. Me and you both, we've talked about this, how we don't want to be like our fathers.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Don't want to be like
I don't.
fathers.
I don't, bro.
But then, without even knowing, bro, we end up being like them.
Yeah. I think, again, it goes back to that mirroring, right? It's these things that we saw that they're ingrained in you because you saw them over and over and over and over again. Until we choose to do different, it won't be different. I think when I used to say this when I was in high school, I said that I would always say that I need to be the opposite of my dad.
Yeah.
I would say that. And when I became a dad, I realized that was wrong. Because being the opposite of my dad isn't enough. Being the opposite of my dad is using my dad as my foundation and just saying whatever he did, I'm going to do different. But most important question that I should have been asking myself is not how to be the opposite of my dad, more so how to be what my son needs. Because my son is not looking for the opposite of my dad. He doesn't know. Because my father and I, we don't have that relationship. What he's looking for is his dad. So I can't base off of somebody else.
Oh, that's powerful.
It's and I had to realize like it's not enough to be the opposite of somebody, because then I don't even know who I am. If all I know is how to be the opposite of somebody else, then I don't know who I am. Because then I need them to identify what the opposite's going to be. I need to find who I am. And then now when I have a kid, I need to understand his needs, my son needs, my daughter's needs, and then provide those, not based off of what, because I don't want to be a father leading from a deficiency. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, since I didn't get this, then I need to be all of that so you can have. Nah, I need to look at them, see what they need, and then be the person that provides that.
That is so huge.
That was hard.
Bro, my son helped me realize that I was becoming more and more like my father.
Yeah. In what ways would you say?
I would say, like, man, what I wasn't getting from my father, just like what you're saying, I wanted to give to him.
Yeah.
So then now I was finding my fatherhood identity.
Right.
Because I believe there's different identities to a lot of things.
For sure.
But your fatherhood, your identity in your fatherhood, I was looking for it in what my dad didn't give me.
Right.
Instead of looking at my new father, which is Jesus Christ,
right,
so he can instill in me the things that my son would need from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I, like I just learned today, I'm still dealing with some unforgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still dealing with some unforgiveness that, could be, to be quite honest, could be hindering me or setting limitations on me on how to become a better father for my
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
So now you said you didn't have a great relationship with
No,
your father.
not at all, man.
Do you think that can hinder the limitations to you being a father too?
Absolutely. Early on, it did.
It did.
Yeah. Until I learned to settle with the reality of what I never had and what I'll probably never have.
Mm-hmm.
I had to accept that.
So do you think you've forgiven your father?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I can confidently say today that I completely forgive my father.
Wow.
Absolutely. Because what's my other option? And what does that option get me? That's why.
Wow.
And what does God want of me? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I forget the things that he did, the things that he said, but I don't hold him that weight. I no longer carry that weight.
Wow.
And because I need to be free to love my kids the way they need to be loved. And so I can't carry the weight of what he did into what I'm trying to do for them.
There's so many people who need that, bro.
Yeah, I had to let it go, man. Yeah. And it wasn't like a one day thing. It wasn't easy. It was over the years. Just sometimes we hold people hostage to something that they don't want to free themselves from.
Ooh.
At what we do. Man. We attach this thing to them.
Yeah.
I had to let it go. Like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in life is to provide closure without the other person involved. And forgive somebody who didn't request my forgiveness, but still had to forgive them because I gotta move forward. I can't be weighted, man. Like, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, and all those friendships, relationships, I want to be as free as possible. So anything that's going to hinder that, I have to, if I address it and it doesn't get solved, then I know that I did my part and my heart's always open. But if it didn't get solved, I still got to move forward. So I gotta let it go, because what I don't want to do is what I was doing early on. And my wife brought this to my attention. I was overcompensating with my son, especially with my son, because he's the one I've had the most time with. So what I would do is, I remember one time he said this to me. He was like, "Daddy, I don't want you to be a motivational speaker anymore." And I was like, man, it hit me. I was like, "Why, Papa? Why you don't want me?" He goes, "Well, because you won't be able to have dinner with us." And I said, man, that hit me. And so what I started doing is making deals with him. Like, how can I spend more time with him? Even though I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I've spent time with him already, I'm thinking, well, how can I spend more time with him so that he never says that again? I'm beat, but I'm still gonna find a way. Like, oh, I told him we're gonna go out Friday, so when Friday comes, whether I can or not, I'm gonna find a way.
Yeah.
And so my wife sat down with me. She was like, why are you doing that? She says, you spend a lot of time with him. Why are you doing that? The answer to that question is, I never wanted him to look at me the way that I looked at my dad.
Oh, God.
So I wasn't being the dad that he needed.
Yeah.
I was being the dad that I wish I had.
Ooh.
But he didn't go through the things that I went through. So I was beyond stretching myself to meet a need that I think he'd had, but he didn't have that need. He was a kid who's very aware and saying, Daddy, I want you at dinner. Daddy will be at as many dinners as possible, kid. He will. Daddy loves you.
Yeah.
But I took that to the extreme, like, oh man, he gonna grow up to not. Nah, bro, settle down. So my wife said, relax. Because you're doing a good job as a dad.
Yeah.
A lot of us, we're doing a good job as a dad. And the times where, where we don't think we are doing a good job, it's great to have your partner let you know, hey, listen, you're doing a good job. But sometimes we got to reflect and ask ourselves, why do I feel like I have to do so many things? Kids I heard a pastor say this one time. Children spell love Time.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we overcompensate by making sure we get them this and we get them that and we do. But what they really want, man, is your attention. Like more than they swipe on that iPad and they look at that iPad, they should be looking at you.
Yeah.
They should be having conversation. Like Coco Melon shouldn't be talking to your kids more than you do.
Gosh, man.
Miss Rachel, Miss Monica, they shouldn't be talking to your kids more than you do.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah, 100%.
They want to have that time with you.
Yeah.
And I was giving him that time, but because he said that, Daddy, I don't want you to be this and dinner, I automatically went to, oh my goodness, he's not gonna like me no more. Nah, he wasn't talking to my dad. He was talking to his dad. And so I had to realize that I need to stop doing that. So that's why I have to forgive, because I can't be the best dad to him if I'm carrying all that weight.
That's
And I can't be the best dad to my daughter if I'm carrying all that weight.
I mean, it's important for both son and daughter.
Yeah.
Both have to take there's a huge vital role in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But so what will be your message? Because here's what I've learned. Affirmation is something,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially in fatherhood.
Yeah.
My son, that's why I love him so much. He gets on my nerves sometimes, but I love him so much.
Yeah.
He'll be driving, he'll be on his iPad. And he'll stop, drops the iPad, looks at me, and I can see him in the review. And he says, Dad, you okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, yeah, I'm all right. You all right, Daddy? Yes, I'm
Yeah.
okay. All right, I love you, Dad. And I'll just be like, man,
Yeah.
about to pull this car over, find the nearest,
Yeah.
jump in, biggest ice cream, whatever you could think to,
Yeah.
to bring him, because that is so important
Yeah.
to us as fathers.
Yeah.
And it hurts my heart to see that there are not a lot of men in the house. There's not a lot of fathers out there.
Yeah.
And if only they knew how great it felt
Yeah.
to be a father.
Yeah.
Because our kids, they're chilly. But man, listen, you want to know how many messages I get? Man, Wendy, you're different. You're different. You're not the clown, the guy who's just jumping from one place to another. You're different. I said, yeah, my son did that to me.
Yeah. You've evolved.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And my message to the fathers would be, listen, stop finding your identity in your trauma.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Ooh,
That's good. Yeah.
stop finding your identity in your trauma.
Yeah.
Because that identity has a lot of missing voids.
Mm-hmm.
And those voids that need to be filled is hindering your growth with your son,
Yeah.
with your children.
Yeah. That's good, man.
And so my question is to you. What keeps you? What keeps you strong? What keeps you loving fatherhood?
Yeah.
What keeps it? I mean, the general answer will always be, "Oh, it's the kids."
Yeah.
What keeps you loving to be a father?
I have a huge responsibility to pour into these kids as much as I possibly can.
Mm.
So I'd say one of the things that drives me is I want them to be the best possible person they can be. And sometimes it means they get to watch my mistakes. They get to watch my failures, my successes. I just want to put them in the best position possible. I want them to be intelligent, but I also want them to be emotionally intelligent. I want them to be kind. I say to my son and my daughter all the time, I am kind, I am strong, I am brave, I'm beautiful, I'm handsome, I'm patient. The things that I want them to become, I speak it over their lives. Yeah. And I think it's my job, mine and my wife's job, to make sure that we equip these kids as much as possible to be good people, to be good to people, the people around them, to be good to anybody and everybody, but most importantly, to be humble servants. Mm. We do not shy away from talking to our kids about God.
Right.
My son is 4. He can tell you the fruits of the Spirit. Oh. Because that's important to us, right? That's part of our identity. So what keeps me going is the fact that these two little ones didn't ask to be here, man. But I gotta set them up for success as much as I possibly can, and it's my responsibility. That's I don't take that lightly.
Dang.
Yeah.
So I want to know, before we wrap this up, what's next for Mr. Ralph?
Oh man, there's so many things next. So next is definitely doing leadership development, coaching, the keynotes. That's definitely part of it.
Yeah, you was in Mexico now too.
I was. Listen, let me tell you something, man. I was in Mexico, bro, and it was a God move for sure. I got to be in the same room on the same stage with the Eric Thomas, E.T., the #1 motivational speaker in the world. And so for me, I think about the fact that a year prior to that, I quit my job. Didn't know where this was going to go. Yeah. A year later, I'm in Mexico at a mastermind delivering a keynote with the #1 motivational speaker in the world.
Your gifts will make
That's God.
room for you.
I hear people say that all the time. Your gifts will make room for you. But when you're actually in the room, that's when you start to understand it.
Jesus, yep.
Outside of the room, for me, it was something that I repeated and I was hopeful for. Yeah. But when I was in that room, it really hit. Yeah. Like, your gifts will make room for you. I'll tell you one of the things that I learned as far as talking about what's next, right? What's next is continuing to walk in alignment with God's purpose through prayer. The things that I want to achieve in life, I'm not going to achieve them because I'm talented. Yeah. I'm not going to achieve them because I'm a great speaker. Yeah. I'm going to achieve them because I stay in connection and alignment with what God has for me. That's the only way. Having more time in my prayer closet is the only way. And I don't say that just to say it, to feel spiritual. No, I've learned that's the only way. Because the other day I'm driving and I had been in prayer for some time. And I just remember the Holy Spirit just hitting me with something. I'm driving and I'm thinking, like, whenever people would ask me like, yo, you're good at this speaking stuff, man, or you're good at coaching and, you help people solve problems. You're quick on your feet and stuff like that. How do you do that? My answer was always, oh man, I'm just built like that. I'm just wired like that. That's how my mind works. That's just how I am. That's what I used to say. And the other day I'm driving and I could hear, like, almost felt like a tangible voice telling me, why you been taking credit for my deposits? Jesus. Now I wasn't thinking about that. Wow. I was just driving. I'm on 301. I'm going home, and I could just feel and hear the voice. Why are you taking credit for my deposits? Why you say that? And I'm like, what's going on here? And then I could hear, you've been accepting the message but rejecting the messenger. Oh. I said, Lord, I'm sorry. I will no longer tell people that I'm wired that way. I will tell them that you created me that way. Wow. Because what I was doing is I was taking credit for all the things that God had placed in me. I was telling people I'm wired that way. My mind works that way. Well, who created me? God did. So in my opinion, God didn't allow me to blow up within that mindset, because when I make it to the top and people ask me, how'd you get there? I'd be like, I'm built that way.
Yeah.
I'm wired that way. God had to humble me, sit me down, and I had to hear his voice through prayer so he can say, I made you that way. So now when I'm on whatever stage you see, however many people in the audience, and you ask me, yo, how were you able to do that? My simple answer is going to be, God created me this way. He gets the glory, not I.
Bro.
And I don't get that without prayer. So what's next is diving deeper into my prayer life. What's next is my wife and I are thinking about launching a YouTube channel, a podcast potentially to talk about marriage, because our marriage is something that I'm very proud of.
On this thing about y'all. I would love to have you and your wife here, man.
Yeah, man.
Phenomenal.
That's my friend.
Yeah.
That's my friend.
She's a wonderful person.
That's my best friend.
Chipette is God's son.
Yeah,
she's a wonderful.
She is, man. And so, we want to do more of that, because we are actually co-leading at our church, the marriage ministry. And so for me, it's about seeing marriages thrive and not just survive.
Yeah.
But it's also about having the tools to be able to do that. And then doing more leadership development coaching. The keynote that I did in Mexico was about leadership. What is a leader? And we talk about leadership all the time. And what I talk about is a leader is not, you're not a leader because of your office. You're not a leader because of your tenure. You're not a leader because of your title. You're a leader because you've made a decision, and it's a decision to care. Yeah. And what I say is CARE is an acronym, CARE. You're a leader because you decided to coach, to appreciate, to redirect, and to elevate.
Oh, I like that.
And so that's a whole framework of leadership that I speak on. And as a result of doing that, I was able to win an award in Mexico for that. So what's next is whatever God has in mind, man.
Bro, and you're about, bro, this, I feel so hard in my spirit that God is about to take you places.
Yeah.
That only he can take you.
Yeah.
He has to take you there. You're
of course.
Not
I'm not.
He's taking you there.
And that's why I had to go to that place of prayer to realize that when I get there, I didn't get there on my own. Yes, there's gifts and there's talents and there's things that I've worked on. There's things I've done in the quiet moments to help put me in that. But what he's about to pour out can only come from him.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, guys, y'all heard it.
Yeah.
From your boy himself. If y'all want to book Ralph, I'm telling y'all, I've been to a lot of his speaking engagements. This man is going to change your life. God is definitely using him as a vessel.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to book your boy Ralph, how can they get hold of
For sure, man. So they can definitely go to my website, RJP. So that's my name, Ralph Jean Poix. So just the initials, RJPspeaks.com.
Okay.
They can go to the website. They can also find me on Instagram at RJP Speaks and connect with me there. Because for me, it's about, there's 3 gaps that I'm trying to bridge. Yeah. So I want to bridge the gap between father and sons. I want to bridge the gap between manager and employee. And I want to bridge the gap between husband and wife. Ooh. So I tell myself that I'm a gap, right? I'm filling in those gaps. And part of it, again, is about giving people tools to be the most successful they can be. My tagline is align passion with purpose to fuel performance. So whatever it is that you want to be the absolute best at, right? We want to align that passion with the purpose so we can fuel performance. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great journey.
Man, I'm following you, bro.
Yes, sir.
I'm here.
I appreciate it, man.
You know I'm here, man. So again, man, I want to thank you so much for your time. And this is gonna be like when God gave me this vision for a podcast, he said, I'm gonna put the people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the guests together and I said, God, I want to talk to people who has influence in my life. And but everybody I've had on this podcast had an effect in my life. And the effect that you've had in my life, especially when it comes to fatherhood, especially having that leap of faith to deal with those scars to become a better fatherhood, you've definitely have helped me with that a lot.
I appreciate it, man.
Watching you do your thing, man. So that's why, like, God is telling me the only people that's going to be on your podcast is people that I've sent to help you become a better person.
Yeah, for sure.
And I praise God for you, man.
Thank you, man. And I want to continue in the spirit of, you were talking about affirmation earlier. I think it's important for me to tell you too that I think you're a good father. I think you're a great father, because it's about recognizing. We don't want to dismiss our pain.
Yeah.
We just don't want to lead from our pain.
Yeah.
I don't want to love from my pain.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to acknowledge that because I think it's important. It's part of what made me stronger. It's part of what made me who I am. But when I love, I'm not looking back. I'm looking forward.
Amen.
I'm not looking at what didn't happen or what did happen. I'm looking at what's right in front of me and what can I provide there. So I want to tell you that you're doing a great job with your boys. You're doing a phenomenal job as a husband, as a person, as a businessman. Yeah. Keep doing your thing, man, because the affirmation is important because sometimes we don't hear it. Yeah. Like, my love language is words of affirmation and physical touch.
Mine's words of affirmation has become my number one.
It's my number one. Yeah. Like, I'm when I get home, like, you ain't gotta cook for me. You ain't gotta cook. I mean, I'm gonna eat if you cook the foods. My wife is an amazing cook. Yeah. But sometimes when my wife sits me down, or she'll write me a note, or just say some things to me, it just changes my whole day.
Do something, bro.
And so I wanted to make sure I took the time to let you know.
Absolutely. That
you're doing a great job, bro.
Absolutely.
And you said it earlier, and I'm gonna tell you that God will provide. Yeah. So I look at God will give the provision because He's the vision that you have.
Exactly.
That's why He'll more provision, and the provision will be provided for you. He's gonna sustain you. Yeah. And not only is He going to allow this to continue to exist, but to thrive. Yeah. And to be a platform not only for you and others, but for Him.
Jesus, I received that, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, you guys hear it, man. Shouts out to my boy Ralph.
Thank you.
You will be back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is just season 1, and this is great. And definitely looking forward to having you some more, bro.
No doubt, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.